Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here, and today we're taking a look at Delta Force Hawk Ops and whether its innovative three-pronged approach to tactical shooters can end Battlefield's dominance as the leading sandbox combined arms game. First of all, thank you to Team Jade for sponsoring this video. So it's going to be completely free to play. It'll not only have the Battlefield-inspired Havoc Warfare mode, but also a full campaign based on the Blackhawk Down movie, and an extraction mode, which quite frankly blows 2042's Hazard Zone mode out of the water. So if you were watching the Summer Games Fest, you may have seen a couple of new trailers for this game, and unless you're as old as I am, you may have never even heard of Delta Force. This series goes all the way back to 1998. It was a pioneering title in tactical shooters, and it long predates Battlefield and even Call of Duty. And Delta Force Hawk Ops is bringing that series into the modern age with three distinct new tactical game modes: Hazard Operation, their extraction mode; Havoc Warfare, a full-scale sandbox combined arms experience; and then Blackhawk Down, a recreation of the iconic campaign based on Ridley Scott's hit movie. And it's going to be available on all platforms as well: PC, console, and even mobile for free. More on that later in the video. So their first mode is called Havoc Warfare. Now if you're a Battlefield fan like I am, this mode is probably going to be a big point of attraction for you. So this is their large-scale sandbox combined arms mode, and as such it looks like you're going to find pretty much everything you can expect here. So there's going to be land, air, and sea combat, which is something I've been really missing ever since Battlefield 4. We've already seen tanks confirmed in the trailer. There's an attack helicopter with a separate gunner seat. We've seen my personal favourite, the jets, flying overhead as well, so I assume that those are going to be pilotable. Overall, I really like the atmosphere and the aesthetic that they're going for. It seems pretty grounded in the reality of a modern day shooter, and this game is set, I believe, in 2035. We also see they've got stationary weapons platforms that players can use and of course be shot out of, which is definitely a bit of a throwback to me to like some of the older shooter games. And it also looks like if you're gunning in a vehicle like this Jeep here, you're definitely going to be somewhat exposed and pretty prone to getting shot out, which again I like. And then of course they're going to be bringing back some fan favourite maps from some of the Delta Force games of old that have been reimagined with additional enhanced cover and more destruction. And that has been one of the things that I really noticed in this game. The destruction on display here, it looks way better than what we've seen in Battlefield 2042. It looks like you can actually blow holes in most buildings and walls to make a path through there for yourself, and we've even seen entire roofs caving in. As for the maps that we've seen here, the first one looks like a medium-sized map to me, so great for tearing around those streets with a tank or a jeep, but still with plenty of buildings and cover for the infantry. And then we saw this sort of beachhead map that kind of reminded me of the D-Day landings with the machine gun fire on the beach and the boats coming in. That looks awesome. And then there's also what appears to be an oil refinery of some sort here. So I definitely like what we've seen of the maps so far. There seems to be a good mix of different sized maps. And of the three that they've shown us here, they all seem to have different aesthetics as well, which is a really good sign. There is an alpha test coming this July, so I'm definitely going to be signing up for that so I can hopefully jump in and have a play for myself, because, you know, I've had my eye on this game ever since it was announced, and I know a lot of you guys do as well, so there is going to be more info on that and how you can get into the alpha test towards the end of the video. Now, when it comes to weapons here, we've got the usual suspects for a modern military game. Over on their website, they have listed the RCX Spear Battle Rifle, the M4A1 Assault Rifle, the PKM LMG, and the AS Val, to name a few. During a recent devlog, they said they would be releasing 16 weapons with over 60 new attachments. They also showed off the modding feature, which on first impressions it seems to be quite complex. You can even change the position of the grip on your weapon if you would like. You can choose where on the Picatinny rail you want to place attachments, like if you want it on the side mount for example, and there's going to be a weapon inspection feature as well. So in this game mode, you're going to be playing as one of several operators. They are all grouped into one of four classes. Assault operators have superior firepower, as you might imagine. They also get access to the AT4 anti-tank recoilless launcher in Havoc Warfare mode, and then they have these exoskeletons that allow for greater movement speed and less fall damage. So I think this class is likely going to be my favourite, run around fast blowing stuff up. I mean, what else could you ask for, right? The exoskeleton that they have is also particularly interesting because basically it increases your movement speed, also your rate of fire, and it gives you the tactical slide ability. So unlike most games where everybody has a tactical slide if it's going to be in the game, in this game only the assault class is going to have access to that. Then you have the engineers, and they provide more of a defensive role, so they can also use the AT-4 launcher in Havoc Warfare, but they also get access to the Stinger there. But outside of that, their main focus is the deployment of tactical drones and sonic bombs to help them support their team. Now what's kind of interesting here is that they can also cut through wired fences with welding guns, which would lead me to assume that the other classes in the game can't get through these fences without an engineer with them, which obviously gives them more value. So you can also repair vehicles and you can construct defenses. I like the fact that the engineers aren't just about dealing with vehicles and helping vehicles, they actually have more value to them than just that, which is also going to play, of course, into the extraction mode as well. And then we have the support class, and as you might imagine here, these guys are going to be the medics. They can rescue allies faster than any other class, and they also get ammo crates in Havoc Warfare, and then they come with a medical gun to heal themselves and their teammates, as well as things like smoke to conceal themselves and disorient their enemies. What's kind of cool here though is that they get this high-tech smoke grenade that they can fire from their therapeutic pistol, which then changes the smoke grenade into like a healing grenade instead, dispersing in a mist. And then their other gadget, the smoke screen, it sends out a UAV that drops smoke, but you can actually change the direction that the drone flies in, and I guess you can make a wall of smoke wherever you like. Maybe you can make like an L-shaped wall. That sort of adds a bit of depth and a little bit of a twist to some already familiar gadgets. And then finally, we've got the Recon class, and they specialize in scouting enemy movements with high-tech bows and arrows and launching silent deadly attacks. So for example, the Volt arrow will deal damage over time to enemies. I think it may stun them as well, not quite sure on that, whilst the Recon arrow will reveal enemy positions. And then they also get access to the radio to help recon the map, it says here on the website. I think by recon the map they mean like discover the map. I'm not exactly sure what that means there. And in Havoc Warfare, they also get a respawn beacon. So this class is probably going to sound pretty familiar if you're a Recon player, and whilst I do think it sounds pretty cool, I do have to say I'm not a massive fan of any kind of seeing through walls ability in a large shooter like this. I think it's going to be okay in the extraction mode where there are fewer players, but if you have multiple people running this in Havoc Warfare, it could be a little bit spammy in my eyes, especially if it reveals the locations of those players for your teammates as well. But I'm sure they're going to do a lot of testing in the upcoming alpha phase, so I guess we'll wait and see how it turns out in the full game. So I think just this game mode specifically could certainly give Battlefield a run for its money. The game is slated to release next year in 2025, so depending on if they release it before Battlefield or not, that could certainly be an interesting scenario. But we are not done yet, because we haven't even touched on the campaign for the game, which is a recreation of the beloved Delta Force Blackhawk Down game, which itself is of course based on the hit Ridley Scott movie from 2001. So we saw a really nice looking trailer for this at Summer Games Fest. Here you'll relive the iconic 1993 Mogadishu mission, which tells the intense story of 160 elite US soldiers facing a heavily armed force. So in order to get this right and be faithful to the source material, they actually went over to Africa so that they could recreate the streets and the buildings in Mogadishu one-to-one. So in this mode, you're going to be experiencing realistic, squad-based operations with plenty of indoor combat and night battles. It's going to capture the entire operation storyline from start to finish, and it'll feature iconic figures like Hoot and Sanderson from the movie, and then of course to tie it all up, we've got Hans Zimmer's original score in there for an authentic experience. I really hope they do get this right, because both the movie and the game are loved by so many people, but from what I've seen so far, it looks like it's certainly going in the right direction, and I always feel like I'm back in the 2000s already. Now the final game mode is called Hazard Operations. It's an extraction mode that offers dynamic squad-based gameplay, and as you play each match here, there will be new events and missions that will pop up on the map for you to complete in every match. So this is a PvEVP experience with some NPC soldiers patrolling around various points of interest, but you're still going to be fighting against enemy squads of players. And some of the missions that you can complete actually look really cool. In one of the highlight trailers, which was taken from an early playtest, we saw a squad of players move onto a missile launcher and hack it to complete the mission, which actually then triggers a barrage of missiles on a nearby location, which in turn opens that location up on the map via destruction. So I'm a big fan of that dynamic aspect of the game where one match may be vastly different to the next based on where these missions spawn. Now the main objective of this mode is to secure the Mandel brick, which then needs to be taken to a decoding station before you can extract with it. Now once you pick this thing up, you're going to be pinged on the map for all enemy players. So, you really are going to have to tread carefully. You're going to have to hunker down and defend your position to decode this thing and then extract safely, which is clearly going to be easier said than done with several squads of enemy players hunting for you. I'm going to be honest with you guys, you know me, I'm not a massive extraction shooter guy, but as far as these types of games go, this one actually looks interesting to play. I like the fact that you have these dynamic missions spawning in. I like that you have to decode this Mandel brick before you can extract with it. It's not just go to the extraction zone and defend it until the heli comes. You have to first go to a decoding station and actually input the correct code whilst your teammates cover for you, and then you have to wait out that process before you can extract. I think it's a bit of a new innovative twist on that game mode, and I'm excited to try it. So guys, if Delta Force Hawk Ops interests you, I would recommend wishlisting the game over on Steam. The page there has just gone live and there is a link to that in the description below. There's also going to be, as I mentioned before, a closed alpha test this July for Europe and North America, and there are two different ways to apply for it. Firstly, through Steam's playtest functionality, players can opt in through there once the alpha test begins, and chosen players will be granted access. And again, if you wishlist the game, you should receive a notification when you're able to do that. And the second way is by heading over to playdeltaforce.com and registering for an account there. Again, link is in the description below. So once again, thank you to Team Jade for sponsoring this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, let me know in the comments what you think about the game, and I'll see you guys in the next one.